In this chapter, we're going to begin with Microsoft Excel 2010, Chapter 1, Creating a Worksheet and an Embedded Chart. Almost any organization collects vast amounts of data. Often this data is consolidated into a summary so that people in the organization better understand the meaning of the data. An Excel worksheet will allow the data to easily be summarized and charted. A chart will convey a visual representation of the data. In this chapter, you will create a worksheet that includes a chart. The data in the worksheet and the chart includes data for donations made to a nonprofit organization that operates in several cities. The project in this chapter will follow the proper design guidelines and use Excel to create the worksheet that you see here. This worksheet contains fundraising data for the Sable River Foundation. The Sable River Foundation raises funds to care for the environment and preserve the usability of a river that flows through 6 cities. The foundation raises funds by using 5 different fundraising activities. Through concentrated marketing campaign and providing visible results to communities, the Save the Sable River Foundation quickly became a popular local institution. After several years of successful fundraising, senior management requested an easy-to-read worksheet that shows lifetime fundraising amounts for each fundraising technique by city. This is where we're going to look here. We have the different cities listed across here in this row, and then in each column we have the amount of funds that each city raised for the technique, such as corporate, direct mail, fund runs, government, and phone-a-thon. We are also going to total up how much each technique raised between all the cities. And down here we have a total of how much each city itself raised using all the different techniques. In addition, they asked for a chart showing lifetime fundraising amounts because the president of the foundation likes to have a graphical representation that shows him quickly, that allows him to quickly identify stronger and weaker fundraising activities by city. In this chart here, you'll see that each town, each city is listed, and the different fundraising techniques and the money they've made. It's easy to look at this to see that the corporate fundraising has raised the most money in almost all of the cities except for Strongville. And it's easy to see that the phone-a-thon, which is the turquoise color, has raised the least amount of money for every city. The first step in creating an effective worksheet is to make sure you understand what is required. The requirements document needs to have a statement, a source of data, and summary of calculations. So basically what we're going to be doing is figuring out what titles and subtitles we want for the worksheet, determining the contents for the row and columns, what calculations will we need to do. We will determine where to save it, how to identify, how to format the various elements, decide on what kind of chart will best work, establish where to position and how to format the chart, choose a name for the worksheet, and then decide the best method for distributing the workbooks. So would it be a printout in color? Would it be through a PowerPoint or a display or some other way? Okay, we're ready to begin. So if you would go ahead and open Excel, the way to do that is you can go to Start. And the easiest way is to come down here in this little search bar if you're using Windows 2010, and all you have to do is type in the title of the program, for example, Excel. As you start typing, you will see that it pops up here. I can simply click on that and open Excel. This is what Excel looks like. An Excel file is actually a spreadsheet. Spreadsheet is a bunch of numbers used together. And you will see that you have a spreadsheet. You have columns. They are listed by letters. So A, B, C, D, E is your columns. And then going down the sides would be your rows which go across. So here we have row 1, row 2, row 3, row 4. Every file in Excel is called a workbook. Just like a paper workbook, you may have more than one worksheet. Down here we can have different worksheets and we can name those. So here we have worksheet 1, worksheet 2, worksheet 3. So each page is a worksheet. Altogether the file is called a workbook. We're going to begin by entering the worksheet titles. So we want to make sure we are in cell A1. The way to identify we're in cell A1 is because it will have a black box around the cell. Up here in the name box, you will also see A1. And it's called A1 because it's identified with the column and then the row that it's in. So in cell A1, we're going to type the title for our worksheet, which is Save Sable River Foundation. Once you're done typing, you will notice that up here, this is the formula bar. What you type in the box also shows in the formula bar. You can type this in either place you want to. To get out of that cell, you can press enter. You can press which will take you one cell below. So in this example, it would take you to A2. You could press tab, which will take you to one column to the right, which would be cell B1. You can also just hit the check mark here, which means enter that information. When you are in a cell, meaning you have your cursor that is flashing with the solid line, you cannot do any editing to it until you have recorded that information. If while you're typing this you discovered that you were typing in the wrong box and there was actually other information that was already there that you don't want to lose, you can simply type escape and it will go back to the way it was. So in this case, we're just going to press the enter button on your keyboard, and it's going to take us down to A2. In this box, we're going to type the subtitle for our worksheet, which is Lifetime Fundraising Summary. And we're going to press enter. You will notice that in cell A1 we have the entire title here. However, because it is too long to fit in this column, it has overflowed and is overlapping into columns B and C. But there is not actually anything in cell B1 or C1. This is just overlapping it. Now, if there was something typed in B1, it would have cut this off so we do not see the whole title. In that case, we'll have to do some formatting to make it work. There is an autocorrect feature in Excel, and autocorrect works behind the scenes to correct common mistakes as you're typing. It will make 3 types of corrections for you. First of all, it corrects 2 initial capital letters by changing the second letter to lowercase. It will capitalize the first letter in names of days, and it will replace commonly misspelled words with their correct spelling. However, what Excel does not do is underline things in red whenever you've misspelled them, like in Word. So now we're going to begin entering our column titles. So click on cell B3. You can either click here with your mouse, or you can come up to the name box and type B3, whichever is easier for you. And we're going to be typing the names. The first one is Allentown. If you need to pause this as we go so that you can see all of them, you can do so. I'm just going to, I can arrow or tab across. The second town is going to be Chamber City. The third one, which is in cell D3, will be Pattonsville. And you'll notice that as I typed Pattonsville, it covered up the city that was in Chamber City. So be sure that you're getting the entire city listed. Every city should be in its own cell. Next is Sable Village, and then Strongville, Town of Cary, and finally in H3 we're going to have the word total. That is our different cities that we're going to be representing. Now we're ready to put in our row titles. For our row titles, we're going to start in cell A4. And in here, we're going to list the different fundraising techniques. So in A4, we're going to type corporate. We can press down arrow or enter, whichever is easier for you to go down. The next one is direct mail. Enter. Then we have fun runs. Enter. Government. And phone-a-thon. And finally, again, we're going to put in a total row. You may need to pause that as you're typing. You'll notice that all the words are left aligned. That is because Excel will align all text to the left. All numbers, it will align to the right. However, a number is not necessarily a number. This is just for an example. Don't type these. But if I was to type a phone number, Excel recognizes that phone number as text because it has a hyphen in it. If it has a hyphen, a space, a non-numeric character, or a letter, it recognizes it as text. The reason why that does not necessarily need to be a number is there any time that I would use a phone number to do a math calculation? There's not, so that is text. If you're going to use math, it would be a number. If you don't want to use math, it is actually considered text, even if it is made up of numbers. Okay, now that we have all of our headings on, we're going to begin by typing in the amount of money that each technique raised for each city. So as we enter numbers, remember those will contain actual numbers 0 through 9. It also will have a plus, minus, parentheses, a slash, a dollar sign, a percent. And those would be treated as numbers. So we'll go ahead and begin typing for Allentown Corporate, which would be cell B4. There is 74,029.35. Press enter and it will take you down. You may want to pause this here in a moment after all the numbers are in so that you can type them. This is the spreadsheet with all the numbers filled in. I have already adjusted the column width so that you can see all the numbers. However, you do not have to do that at this point. When you have finished typing all your numbers, you do need to double check to make sure that they are all typed in correctly. You will notice that whenever you get down here to this cell in G8, you would have typed 21097.60. However, because we do not have this recognized as a dollar, Excel says there's no need to show that extra 0 on the end, so it has dropped it off. We will be able to bring it back later. So go ahead and pause this until you have finished typing. At that point, we will go ahead and save it. So go to File, Save As, save it wherever you will remember where it is. We're going to name it EX1, Save Sable River Foundation, and you will put your initials after it. And then hit Save. You'll notice it will be saving it as an Excel workbook.